Now, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about, probably wasn't going to talk about Black Widow, but I just saw it a few nights ago, and here we are. Let's get this started. There have been mixed reviews about this movie, and so therefore I wasn't going into this movie hyped. I was going into it thinking that it was not gonna suck, but it was gonna not be as good as I know Marvel can be. But from seeing it, I'm glad that I went into this movie expecting to not like it, and I left loving this movie. Black Widow it's not one of the best Marvel movies, but it just brought my love for Marvel back. The shows did that as well, but it just wasn't the same as being back to see Marvel in a movie, in a theatrical release, and it was amazing. I do have a few problems with this movie that I will discuss in this review, but my first impressions on Black Widow were just, this movie's really good. And but I have watched some reviews saying that it's not that great, and it's not. I mean, it's not a perfect movie by no means, but no Marvel movie is perfect for that matter. And I was glad that Black Widow, when I saw it, it's still this extravaganza of action and madness, but not as much as like Infinity War was, if that makes sense. Infinity War and Endgame were these epic clashes between the Avengers and Thanos, and it was nice bringing it back down to earth in Black Widow. It gave me it reminded me of the Civil War time and Winter Soldier time, which this movie is presented in right after Civil War. It takes place after the events of Civil War. And yeah, let me get a few of the highlights in this movie that I really like. So, an unexpected joy in this movie for me was Florence Pugh. She was amazing in this movie. Scarlett Johansson did her thing, and she was awesome as well, of course, as she always is in these Marvel movies. And she is a good actor. She's not one of my favorite actors, but she's really good at what she does. But Florence Pugh steals the show for me in this movie. But this is also the first movie that I have seen of Florence Pugh is in. I know that she's in, what is that movie, Fighting for Family with The Rock, and she plays Paige from WWE. I think she does. But I gotta watch that movie now after seeing Florence Pugh in this movie, because she does a hell of a job in this movie. She's very entertaining to watch. She's hilarious in this movie. And she brings some dark humor that I appreciated in this movie. And, oh, by the way, this movie is very, very funny. And it's funny to a fault, which I will get to later. And, but yeah, Florence Pugh was really good in the movie. David Harbour, who is on Stranger Things and was also in the terrible Hellboy movie. He played a decent Hellboy, but not as good as the originals. But he was really good in this movie. I mean, he's still not one of my favorite actors either, but he did a really good job in this movie for what he does, and he also is responsible for a lot of the humor in this movie. And which gets me to my point of this humor in the movie is a problem as well in the movie, because there's so much of it. And Marvel they've had humor in it before, and a lot of it works, a lot of it doesn't for me. And this movie's no different to that. But this movie, it seems like there's such an abundance of it, where you could have an emotional moment, the humor just compromises it. And I appreciate the laughs, but I'd rather have more dramatic elements in a movie like Black Widow. Because it non-spoilers, by the way, but it brings back, well, not brings back, but the villain in this movie is someone from Natasha Romanoff's past. And so she has to deal with that in this movie. And yeah, that could make for a really dark and gritty movie. And it kind of is for the most part, but these Marvel movies are so clean cut and just, there's hardly any darkness in them. And the best Marvel has ever gotten with incorporating darkness into the movie was the Captain America movies for more or less. But Infinity War was the time where they actually pulled it off with Thanos winning at the end. That was, I loved that in Infinity War. But so now that I'm talking about the villain in this movie, the villain, I liked the villain for the most part, but his motivation for being the bad guy in this movie, he's a piece of in this movie for sure, but his motivation for doing this evil deed, it's like, I don't know, it's like, really? They did that with it? And when the villain said it, like his motivation for being evil and doing all those things, I was like, did I hear that right? Like, it bluntly was that. I just think it was stupid for that character because it doesn't make sense, really. For real life or a Marvel movie, it just wouldn't make sense. And I don't think the movie pulls it off. Now that I'm talking about villains, might as well talk about Taskmaster. And before coming into this movie, I'd never seen Taskmaster done in anything that Marvel has done. I don't even know if he's in the cartoons or whatever. But I was interested to see how this movie portrayed Taskmaster, and it was disappointing for the most part. Like, I think I've been playing Spider-Man for the PS4, and Taskmaster is in that, and so far I like Taskmaster better in Spider-Man instead of the Black Widow movie. I don't know. Taskmaster, I do get the motivation for Taskmaster being in this movie. And I just think it was a really good idea for Taskmaster. But I don't think they pulled it off that well. Plus, it doesn't speak at all. Taskmaster does not say one word in this movie. So he's more like Snake Eyes. And yet Snake Eyes speaks in his movie. But, so the roles are reversed. But I don't get it. I get why he doesn't speak in this movie, because it is explained, kind of, it's shown, but they could have done Taskmaster a lot better in this movie. I was really looking forward to it, so that's a disappointment in the movie. Those are pretty much the gripes that I wanted to talk about for this Black Widow movie. But overall, this is a really fun and enjoyable Black Widow movie. It could have been a lot better, but that's every movie nowadays. But I really did enjoy Black Widow movie. Like I said, I was going in expecting to hate it, but I came out pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. It might be one of my favorite Marvel movies. I wouldn't put it high on my tier list, but I enjoyed it a lot. I want to watch it again too. Well, I've seen all the movies more than once, probably too many times. But I'm going to do the same with this Black Widow movie. It's got to go in the collection. But yeah, this was a really fun and enjoyable Marvel movie. The action was okay. One more problem with the movie. The action in this movie. I enjoyed most of the action in this movie, but it's that quick cut editing action, and I'm not a big fan of that. Just because instead of having wide shots where you can see everyone fight and like actually see the cool fights that are taking place, it just quick cuts throughout them. And there's one fight between David Harbour and Taskmaster. What is David Harbour's Red Guardian and Taskmaster, where they're fighting, and it's just so edited and cut, and I just if they'd have made the whole shot wide, it'd have been a way better fight, and probably would have tanked this movie a bit more up for me on the scale. But yeah, that's the extra problem that I didn't expect to talk about. But yeah, this movie was really good. I enjoyed it. My rating for this movie will be a B minus because of the problems in this movie. They really bother me. But overall, really fun movie. I would recommend it. And yeah, and I really look forward to what they plan next for Black Widow movie, because, you know, as we all know from Endgame, spoilers for Endgame, Black Widow's dead. So, and this movie would have been better served if it had come out before Endgame or Infinity War. But it's at least it's out now that we can see it, and it's really good. But I'm really looking forward to what they do with Florence Pugh's character. I really want to see her in more upcoming Marvel stuff. And yeah, I look forward to what they have next. And this review is going up before the Loki series of episodes 5 and 6. So I still got to talk about that. And it's been a while since I've just been lazy talking about it. Yeah, I've just been lazy. I haven't talked about Loki episodes 5 and 6 yet, and I really need to, because I talked about the previous episodes. So, I need to do that soon. And, alright. Bye. Hope you enjoyed this review. I'll see you next time in the next one, and like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff, and I'll see you later. Goodbye. This is Matt with Matt Made, and I'll see you in the next video.